Hey Jessica, let's check this one out. So we have an SSA situation, two sides at an angle. We're given A, B, and angle A. So one of the first things that we can do, and if you're going through like help me solve this, they kind of do it in a confusing way, I find. Here's what I always do. Whenever we're dealing with kind of the ambiguous case, an SSA situation where we know two sides at an angle, first I want to know what the deal is. Is it one triangle, one right triangle, no triangle, or two triangles? And this kind of saves me a lot of work. So the first thing I'll always try to do, let me thin that out a little bit. First thing I'll always try to do is calculate the height, where height, h, equals b sine a times the sine of a. Okay? So let's just do that. Here we know b is 3, and the sine, we got sine 80 here. Now make sure you're in degree mode because we're working with degrees, and make sure in your calculator, do this first and then multiply the answer by 3. Okay, and that should come out to about 2.95, the height. Now we don't got to get crazy there, but once I know the height, I can basically compare it to these four situations and we can figure out what's happening. Okay, so number one, I know the height, h, is greater, A is greater than h. Okay, so here with one triangle, A is greater than h, and A is greater than b. And that's true here. So here's our situation. We have one triangle, so we're good to go here. The reason why I'm doing this is because if we have a situation where there is no triangle, I can just indicate that right off the bat. I don't have to start kind of working the problem and waiting for my numbers to go crazy. Okay? So after that, basically what we're going to try and find out, we need another angle going on here. So if this is our situation, we know A is 6. We know angle A right in here is 80. I'm writing that small, but just so you can see what's going on. So what we need to do is we need to find our other angles first. And how we can do that is we'll use the law of sines. So step 2, kind of just basically find one other angle, right? Another angle. So let's do B. So I'm going to go sine B over B, side B, equals sine A over A. Remember with this law of sines, these are just ratios. You can mix and match them, you can flip them, you can set different ones equal to one another. It's all good. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to rearrange this though, so if I multiply both sides by b, I get sine b by itself. So the sine of b, and we're just going to calculate all this. Okay, so this is going to be like the sine of 80 times 3 divided by 6, right? Because that's the side A. So let me just do that in my calculator now. Okay, so sine 80 times 3, that's going to equal a number. I'll divide that by 6, and we get a decimal, right? So sine B equals 0.492. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to do the anti-sign, so shift in my calculator, sign, and then I'm going to input that answer, and we'll take this to degrees. And that's going to come out, angle B in degrees is going to come out to 29.49. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's round that to the nearest whole degree, because that's what the question asks us to do. That's not quite 0.5, so let's call that 29 degrees. All right, and you were super close to that too when I seen what you were working on. So I know angle A is 80, angle B is 29, and if I add that to angle C, I'm going to get 180. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll figure out what angle C is now. 80 plus 29 is 109, plus C is 180. And then I'll subtract 109 from both sides. Or you could just add them up and subtract 180 from it. Same deal, right? So 180 minus 109, it's going to be 71 degrees. So there's our angle C. So we know A, B, and C now. That's cool. We know side A and B, so now let's find side C. And you could basically do it a number of different ways. I'm going to set it up just with my original complete ratio. Remember, for this to work, I need to know a side and a corresponding angle. So I'm going to say side C over sine C is going to equal A over sine A. And remember, again, you can flip these and flip them around, but if you put the signs up top like I did up here, make sure you have signs up top and sides down below. Or you can flip them both. That's cool too, like I'm doing here. And the reason why I'm doing that is it just keeps the math the same. I'm going to multiply both sides by whatever's down here, and I get what I want to find by itself. So they'll just blast that in. That's going to be 6 times the sine of 71, and we're going to divide that by the sine of 80. And that's going to give us side C. We calculated that. Hopefully it comes out. But again, do your signs first if you're just doing it all in your calculator. So I'm going to go sine 71 times 6. And then I'm going to divide that answer by the sine of 80. And that should come out to, what's that, 5.76? 5.76. So we'll approximate that because they want everything rounded to one decimal place. We should call that 5.8. Okay, so with all this SSA stuff, don't pay too much attention to what's going on in Help Me Solve This. Keep this in mind, keep this around, and it's always great to throw that on a cheat sheet, right? Even though this test, you know, there's no proctoring going on, but it's good to have that handy. Find H first, always, and that'll tell you what the situation is. It just saves you time, especially if you have no triangle. Once you're there, start finding your angles. Use the law of sines if you need to. Only use it once though, because once we're there, it's more efficient to just take 180 minus the other two angles and we can find that third angle. And then from there, use the law of sines to find any remaining sides that you need to. Hope this helps. If it doesn't, let me know.